And they drove. And they said, well, what if we're under attack? He said, what better people than us to go fight for our country? And that's who this guy is. I've never met a guy like this in my life. And now I've known him for 25 years. I got to dinner with him, I promise you. It's just horrific. First thing you do is you want to talk about the football game. No, we don't talk about the football game. We talk about nutrition. And then you have the menu. And you start ordering. He goes, oh, he's not having that. He's having, and you end up having whatever Dr. Wallach says you can have for dinner. So if you guys want to have dinner with him later, you can go. That's fine. I'm just warning you. Don't try to talk about the football game, and don't try to have anything for dinner that he doesn't want you to have, because you're not going to have it. I'm just going to right off your plate. And then you're going to say, like, then he's going to say, well, you want to go home and watch some movies with me? And you go, well, that sounds nice. What are we going to watch? And he watches war movies. I mean, the most unbelievable movies you've ever seen. And he just sits there all night long and watches these movies with you. And those are my fond memories of traveling all over the world with this guy, because he travels 300 days a year. Not because he has to. Just imagine 250 million dead doctors don't buy tapes out there. So that's, you can imagine 250 million is a lot. Multiply that by a quarter override per tape. I've never said that before, but that's nowhere with one wheel broken. He doesn't. He's doing it because he loves you and because he loves mankind, and there's much work yet to do, and there is reason for him to slow down. So stand up and give him a standing ovation.
Thank you very much. If you weren't James and Ben really good speakers, that'd be great. He's setting everything up. And I just want to thank Jackie Trader. She's one of the loves of my life. Jackie is just something super. And this goes back over 20-something years ago. And we're going to have a big, big meeting here in Denver. And it's the biggest snowstorm in history. It was either a playoff game or the Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, and nobody showed up. I have room for 500 people. Nobody shows up. I'm ready to pack up everything, and here comes Jackie into the room. Jackie comes into the room, and she's become one of the loves of my life. She says, let's get her in. Because I gave her the entire 3-hour speech. And she sat through it, and she keeps coming back. Okay, I do have an injury. Yeah, I don't have any disease. I have an injury, which I'm recovering from very nicely, thanks to the 90 nutrients. So next time you see me, I won't need a wheelchair. And so I just want to let you know it wasn't some kind of affliction. It's an injury. You should have seen the other guy. Okay. How many have never heard me speak before? Okay, it's only about 10%. Okay, so I can go pretty fast here. All right. Basically, one of the things I learned a long time ago, being a little guy, I leveraged my time. I had to leverage everything I did. And so we have a lot of tools in longevity because it leverages our time. Just the other day, I did a webinar with 12 Asian countries from the Pacific. And I don't know how many, they won't even tell me how many people on there. Pages and pages and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people from all these countries. Malaysia, Indonesia. We're talking about the Philippines, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan. Let's see here, Singapore, on and on and on. It's a beautiful thing. I don't turn them all off. I need to get around. That's enough. And so we're putting technology in here, but we're still traveling 300 days a year, and we're going to do things like this as well as webinars and things while I'm on the road. So we're going to maximize technology. 90 for life. All vertebrates, whether you're a human being or a porpoise or a snake or a hummingbird or a giraffe, a dog, a cat, a pig, all vertebrates require 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids. If some of them are a little bit low, you're going to get diseases. If some are missing, you're going to die. And here's why. The red blood cell is one of the longest lived cells in the body. It only lives 120 days, 4 months. The other cells in your body, whether it's a bone or brain or eye or heart or lungs or liver, muscle, they live 30, 40, 60, 90 days. They're dying by the thousands every second. You have to replace them every second. Otherwise, you get sick and you die. Well, your body requires these 90 essential nutrients as raw materials. How many of you have heard of Frank Lloyd Wright? Anybody ever heard of Frank Lloyd Wright? Yeah, he's a great architect. Everybody wanted a Frank Lloyd Wright house when I was a kid. You know, big exotic house on the lake or the coast or a river over the mountains. And you can take a Frank Lloyd Wright blueprint and get your lot of your choice, and you put that blueprint there and come back a year later, the deer have eaten the blueprint, the weeds are up your chin, you don't have a house. That's because you didn't have carpenters and plumbers and electricians, you didn't have shingles and brick and mortar, and you didn't have wood and screws, and you didn't have power to run the tools and everything. But you had the Frank Lloyd Wright blueprint. Same thing is true with us. We've got, our bodies are Frank Lloyd Wright blueprints. One of God's greatest creation. Okay, but we still need the raw materials to maintain ourselves. So we're responsible for that. Okay, we'll get into that. How long do you take the 90 speak here? How long do you take the 90 essential nutrients? You take it until you feel better? No, it's for life. Your cells continue dying even though you're feeling better, though your cells will continue to die. This is a disclaimer saying that only God knows everything. And these simple tools go back to Terry Porter, a guy from Boise, Idaho, who's an advertising guy, and he takes one of my original talks, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, not many people have soundtracked off of it and made an audio cassette tape. In 3 years' time, we sold 158 million copies. It went viral before the term even existed. Okay, $3 a piece, it was pretty good for a dumb old farm boy. Okay, and then came the technology of CDs, killed the cassette tapes. But we're pushing 600 million copies of the CDs now in 9 languages. And then everybody wanted hard copies of all the charts and references and tables and things, so we had to come up with the books. And then we have the media library, which is one of these flash drives. It has 43 CDs in it and 10 DVDs. Of course, we have the documentary now. Everybody needs to show the documentary to people. Okay, it is something. It's sort of a history of the longevity company and our goals and things. Right now, I'm on over 1,335 radio stations. We just picked up 3 more FM stations in Fresno, California. We have Ted. Okay. Yeah. We have Minnesota and the GCN, Genesis Communications Network, 1,335 stations. I'm on 2 hours. I'm on 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Millions and millions and millions of people listen to us through the radio. Now, we also have started picking up TV stations, and as you get very excited, I'm a guest on sleep much, and so I'm on George Norrie, and I'm on let's see here, Clyde Lewis and people like that. Okay, all these late night talk shows, and we do more business in 2 hours because these people have such a huge following. We do more business in 2 hours on their being interviewed by them than most businesses do in 5 years. Kind of scary. But people want help, people want information. We also began to leverage our time because there's a lot of great companies out there that had great products and great people that work with them. And it's one of those things where we looked at the raw materials, we looked at manufacturers, we had all the legal stuff to make similar products. We said, it's just easy, we're just buying the companies. For the past 25 years, we've gone close to 30 companies. We've got 3 or 4 more in the pipeline now. great products and great people. So now we have 5,000 products. Stock market, we're on NASDAQ, and YGYNIs are stocks, and we can look at that, and we use the money we get from selling stock to buy these companies. So it's kind of this thing that works, okay? It's kind of exciting. 1961, I was just about to graduate from agricultural school at the University of Missouri. I was kind of halfway through my degree in veterinary medicine. I also started taking courses in graduate work in pathology. I like pathology because you can always find the answer. There's always get the ultimate answer. You bullet wound to the head, cause of death, bullet wound to the head. You always find the answer. Right? And so in 1961, I'm a new guy in the block. I'm only 21 years old. And everybody, all the other older students and the professors are off on Christmas holiday. I'm by myself. I'm doing autopsies of animals and people and growing chemistry for physicians and everything. I'm going crazy with all this by myself. And I get presented with 50 bodies. 500 died in one night. It was the first cancer out in America landed in my lap. There's 500 sheep from a farmer. And it was in Missouri, about 25 miles away from the university. And so he brought in 50 of these sheep. They're 6 months old. They're ready to go to the market. And in a week or two, 2 inches of wool. I cut open the first one. And the blood comes out over that white wool. It looks like chocolate milk. It didn't look like blood. It didn't look like red or purple or black. It just came out like chocolate milk. It's called methemoglobin. Couldn't get oxygen from the blood. But why did 500 die in one night? So as I opened them all up, they also had goiter. They all had goiter. Instead of their little 6-month-old sheep lobes of the thyroid gland being the size of almonds, they were the size of plums. They had goiter. So what would cause methemoglobin and goiter? Nitrate poisoning. Somebody was over fertilizing up the hill. They came down into the water supply of sheep. They've been drinking it. But why did they all die in one night? It should be one died, and then a week later, 2 would die, and then they'd ship them away, and nobody would know about it. Why did they all die in one night? So I called the farmer, but everybody else is gone. I asked him, I said, do you know what the temperature was the night they all died? He said, no, my granddaughter was doing a 4-H project, and she has one of these high-low thermometers for 2 months before this event, and she's still doing it. Okay, well, the Mississippi River, goes from the Missouri River, which comes out of Minnesota, right, down to the Gulf. And when the wind comes up from the Gulf, in the central part of Missouri, where the University of Missouri is, in Columbia, Missouri, it could be in the middle of winter in December and January. It could be 80, 90 degrees. Usually around 45 to 65, 70, kind of like that. But if the wind's coming from Minnesota, it could be 19 below zero. The same location. You just never know it's going to be in Missouri. Just wait long enough for the changes. So he said, okay, yeah, the weather's been running 48 to 65, but the night they all died, the temperature dropped to 19. They all died of hypothermia. Got written up, all excited. Professors come back in a week. I handed it to him and said, well, this happened when you were gone, and can I be one of the authors on the paper? Because I'm just a student. He said, well, you figured it all out. This is all yours. This is your paper. We're not even going to be on it. So he gave it to me. And guess what? I'm published. I'm scientifically published now. First guest out in life. So I give tear sheets with this publication to senators and governors and Marlon Perkins, the old mutual Omaha Kingdom. So many of you will not remember Marlon Perkins. I had worked for him as a kid. Because the city kids didn't like big animals. It was bigger than a chihuahua. They didn't want to mess with it. And bigger than a chihuahua, he made me do it. This is a farm boy. So anyway, I graduated in 1964. So I graduated from ag school. I graduated from veterinary school. I was halfway through my degree in. I finished up my pathology degree at Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa. And so I go there. It was going to take 2 years, and 1 year into it, Perkins sends me a letter. Said, look, I need you to go to Africa and work on the white rhino conservation project. Only 470 of them left south of the Zambezi River, which is like the southern 1/3 of the continent of Africa. I want you to catch as many as you can. And of course, when you use opium, the things you would use to tranquilize a buffalo here in America, or a cow, or a horse, or something, you could, use a little dart when you're talking about a 6,000-pound rhino or a 15,000-pound elephant, the dart had to be as big around as a thermos jug, 4 inches in diameter and 10, 12 inches long. And I had to use a marker to shake it up. So that wouldn't work. So I had to invent tranquilizer darts that were the size of AAA batteries because they gave me a drug. It was called M99. I wrote 17 scientific papers on M99, 50,000 times more potent than morphine. It's the opioids that people are killing themselves with. I wrote the first 17 scientific papers on those drugs. About 200 of them, shipped them here. So if you see a white rhino in a zoo or a wild animal park, it's either one that I caught or offspring from the county. That picture represents my 2 years in Africa. The first book I ever wrote that documented all Rhino Express. And I had to get very close because we were using a Daisy air rifle with a 20-gauge shotgun barrel screwed onto it to shoot these little 3-inch long AAA battery-sized darts. But because the drug was so strong, it only took 3 drops, so I had to put a couple ounces of water in it so we'd get through the needle. We were doing learning all these things. And so today there's 25,000 white rhinos south of the Zambezi River. Back then it was only 470. That's because in addition to catching them, we spent half of our time setting up national parks to protect these guys. So we're very, very proud of that. 25,000 now will never go away. So thank you. Been recognized for our work at the UN many times. Very proud of that. One of the great things, just as James and Ben pointed out, wonderful talks they gave, I'm learning these things that they learned at a much younger age. And I was coming back from a big tour through Europe. This has got to be about 20 years ago. And I come to my little office at 65,000 square feet, my little office. And somebody realized how big that is. It's as big as a lot of small hospitals. And there's 25 nuns from Mexico. Only one that's 25-year-old can speak English and Spanish, of course, and the rest of them only spoke Spanish. They're 40, 50, 67 years old. And I walk in the door, and they all rush up to me, and they start hugging me and kissing me. We're falling on the floor, and they're rolling around the floor. These nuns are on top of me, hugging me and kissing me. I said, now nuns don't kiss, they're even family in public. And so I said, are we in heaven? Are you walking in heaven? I said, what is going on here? And they told me the story about all these peasants coming from the mountains. They said they had never seen anything like that in Mexico. All these peasants are coming from the mountains to the churches begging for the Wallach cures. They said they hadn't seen anything like this in the Catholic religion since the days of Jesus. And they said, no, don't, I'm not quite there, okay? But what do you mean? Well, all these people want to be cured of their diabetes and their high blood pressure and arthritis and infertility and birth defects and all this kind of stuff. And they've heard stories about what your products can do, and they're coming to the churches wanting your products. So we're taking our tithing money and we're using it to buy your products. We've been coming here every day for years. This is just the first time it caught us here, okay? And so that's why they're so excited, because they look at you as kind of an angel. So I'll take angel, okay? And so it's very exciting. Dr. Klaus Schwartz, of course, was my mentor. Dr. Gerhard Strauss there in the white hair. He was a guy, a biochemist, and of course his favorite thing was selenium, basically selenium. And I realized that to make a long story short, that the cause, prevention, and cure of cystic fibrosis is supposed to be the classic disease of genetically transmitted disease, and people haven't heard of cystic fibrosis. Okay, yeah. And so in 1970, back up here. I need to back up just a little bit. I apologize. I got so excited about Jackie being here. Okay, so at any rate, I'm there in Africa. I'm prepared to stay in Africa forever. I'm prepared to stay in Africa forever because I'm having the time of my life. I'm 20 years old and I'm hunting and fishing every day. I'm hunting, but I'm saving them instead of killing them. It's just beautiful. And I get another letter from Perkins that he just got a $25 million grant. It's 1965, so I got a $25 million grant using your paper on mass scale pollution. And I want you to be a pathologist on a project. I said, well, what's the project? And he says, well, we're writing letters back and forth. He says, well, the project is you're going to find an animal in the big zoos and the big cities in Canada, United States, and Mexico, you're going to find a species of animals sensitive to the same pollutants. You have to remember that back in the 1960s, everybody knew the Earth was going to end in 2 weeks from pollution. And so we need to find something quickly. And when these animals start dying in the zoo that you've discovered have the same sensitivity to pollution we do, we know to evacuate the city. Just like the old coal miners used to take canaries down in the mine, and when the gases would come in the mine, the canaries would back and then knew to get out of the mine. So we use the same principle. So Ron Perkins was pretty smart to think of that, right? Because we didn't have a lot of electronic things to tell us about terrible chemicals and things like that back then, but we had the animals in the zoo. So to make a long story short, 10 years, they did 20,000 autopsies, 454 species of animals, 17,000 change, 454 species, and 3,000 humans. What I found out was not a single one of them died of pollution, either the animals or people. And a single one of them had acquired a disease that was caused by genetics. They all died of nutritional deficiencies, both the animals and people. And it was pertinent, the same providers, the same suppliers of the foods that was being sold in the grocery stores to the people who lived around the zoos, the same sources were selling the same foods to the zoos to feed the animals. Oh, what a perfect situation. Make a long short, the thesis, okay, which I got a postdoctoral fellowship for all that work. It was the equivalent of a PhD degree. The thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute's National Treasure. To show there are no dead people from pollution, and there are no transmitted diseases. There are no birth defects that are caused by bad genes. Wait a minute, Wallach, we got kids in our family with the same disease 5 generations. Well, that's because everybody eats the same way, because all the bad stuff, 5 generations live in the same place. It's not genetics. And so that thesis is in the Smithsonian Institute is a national treasure. I'm very, very proud of that. It represents 20,000 autopsies, 17,000 change, 454 species of animals, and 3,000 humans. So. Because we couldn't have genetic disease anymore, they invented a new class of diseases called epigenetics. Some of you heard of epigenetics. Because of this thesis, I'm considered one of the 2 fathers and founders of the science of epigenetics. I'm very, very proud of that. Now, I often wondered why doctors chose the snake as their logo. Because if you know the Old Testament, Satan, when he was trying to seduce Eve, to seduce Adam to leave God and go with Satan, what did Satan disguise himself as? A serpent, a snake. So why did doctors pick the snake to be their logo? In 2008, another cover story, the State of American Health. 2008, we ranked 43rd in the world when it came to longevity and health. Even though we spend more money for healthcare than all the nations, all 207 nations, United Nations combined, each year we only ranked 43rd when it came to longevity and health. Not getting the bang for the buck. You wouldn't tolerate that name for any other industry. 2004, the Center for Disease Control came out and said, our children will be the first generation of Americans that do not live as long as their parents. Our children will be the first generation of Americans that do not live as long as their parents. Now, if you don't change what you're doing, that prediction will come true. You already know people in your family who may be an aunt, uncle who buried maybe one of your cousins. It's their child. Okay? This is a terrible, terrible story. It's the same level of catastrophe as all the firstborn in Egypt died because nobody would release the Hebrew slaves. Because doctors make us lose diagnosis. They do exploratory surgery. They do x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs. They hope the machine will tell them what disease you got. They don't know. We spent $3.36 billion, almost $3.5 trillion for healthcare in 2016, 18% of our GDP. And yet, okay, in 2016, we now rank 47 from longevity and health. We're going backwards, going in the wrong direction. %, of second opinions by our doctors at the Mayo Clinic in Minneapolis, 80% of the second opinion showed that the doctors made a mistake in the diagnosis and the treatment plan 80% of the time. How many industries can stay in business when they made that kind of mistake in the diagnostics of what their client's problem is? Muhammad Ali, the greatest, didn't die from complications of coronary disease. He got pneumonia. They took him to the emergency room. They gave him some intravenous antibiotics and steroids. And before they pulled the needle out, he died of toxic shock syndrome from the treatment. The mob, having gang warfare, okay, as Italy is kind of taking over after the First World War, Italy and the gangs are taking over all the big cities in the United States. And St. Valentine's Day massacred one Italian mafia gang. They were having a machine gun fight in Chicago in the middle of the day. The other lost 5, so a total of 7 dead. Big headlines in every newspaper in the world. St. Valentine's Day massacre. The U.S. government, to deal with gang warfare in the big cities, they formed a federal agency called the FBI. The FBI did not exist until St. Valentine's Day massacre occurred, which is in the early 1930s. Okay. Today, doctors' mistakes kill 680 Americans every day. There's no FBI dealing with that. 59% of all Americans are on 5 or more prescription drugs, but you have insurance. Back in the days when grandma paid the doctor with a pumpkin pie or roasted chicken, that didn't happen. Once you got insurance, you became the target. In 2016, Johns Hopkins, a very famous medical school in Baltimore, Maryland, they did a study. They published a study in 2016 where they looked at, for many years, they looked at the top 20 causes of death in America. In 2016, they said the number 3 cause of death in America, the number 3 cause of death in America, the number 3 cause of death in America. This is Johns Hopkins, not me. They said it was simple mistakes and caused by medical doctors. Each year in the hospital, by simple mistakes by medical doctors kill 251,000 patients. Every 4 years, they kill 1 million patients from simple mistakes. Would you go to Taco Bell if you knew that they killed 251,000 customers? Would you ride an Uber if you knew they killed 251,000 riders in 1 year? So why do you keep going to doctors? You're dead. This is a strange story. A young woman, a little Latino girl, in her first pregnancy, from Orlando, Florida. We were actually having an event there 10, 12 years ago. Tom may remember that event. Front page story. These pictures come off the front page of the Orlando newspaper about 12 years ago. This girl calls the hospital, and she was going to the county hospital for OB/GYN care and delivery because of a poor, low-income family. And she calls and says, look, I'm in labor, I'm on my way in, the baby's coming. So they buzz the doctor, and he says, look, I'm on the golf course. This is her first baby. I mean, she could be in labor for 2 days. I'm not going to come yet. Just keep, let me know every couple of hours what's going on. So in an hour, they call and say, look, this baby's crowding. This baby's coming now. You need to get here now. He walks in the door, he cuts her arms and legs off, and then he delivers the baby. True story. He cut her arms and legs off, and then he delivers the baby. He says, oh my God, I thought I was told that she was here to have her arms and legs amputated. Now, because she was an illegal immigrant, she didn't get anything for having her arms and legs cut off. No money, no compensation. Now, 6 months later, this guy gets called off the golf course again. Same thing. He cuts the girl's arms and legs off before he delivers the baby, because she also interrupted his golf game. He's still practicing medicine in Orlando, Florida. Yes. Now, if I was one of those girls' daddies, this just came out. One half of the front page of USA Today in July 2018, all of page 6A, all the statistics show that U.S. maternity households are the worst in the industrialized world. Over 50,000 women, through their OB/GYN care and deliveries of babies, suffer 50,000 permanent severe injuries and disabilities. 800 die every year at the hands of our OB/GYN. Sugar is your worst enemy. cholesterol is your best friend. I'm going to repeat that. Sugar is your worst enemy, and cholesterol is your best friend. Give up soft drinks and eat 9 to 12 eggs a day with soft yolks. Foie gras is a delicacy in France. Fatty liver in geese and ducks. They force feed them corn, so they get the fructose and they get fatty liver. Today, it's one of the biggest causes of death for American kids. Liver on the left is a normal liver from a 150-pound person who's killed in a car wreck. The purple of the slide, microscopic liver cells, a normal liver. On the right is a 150-pound person, same size as the one on the left, with a fatty liver. And the white spots in the microscopic picture are the fat cells. So you can see why the liver is yellow instead of red or mahogany color. And our kids are a year and a half old, they're getting fatty livers, suffering from having liver transplants at a year and a half old. Many of them die because they don't make it through the surgery. What's going on here? Okay, well, glucose is blood glucose. That's how our body works in blood glucose for energy. That's why wine is so wonderful, because the sugar in wine is glucose. But then there's sucrose, which is half glucose, and you find that in sugar beets and sugar cane. But what is one of the first drinks that, other than milk and formulas, what is one of the first drinks that the grandma would give a baby? Apple juice. You've heard of babies drinking apple juice, John. Well, apple juice, the sugar is fructose. It's like corn syrup, fructose. And so it's apple juice that causes fatty liver in little babies. Grandma kills a lot of little babies, fatty liver, by giving them apple juice. Bam! They're dead. Age spots and liver spots are oxidized fats in your skin called steroids, C-R-O-I-D, lipofuscin. You have 10 of them on the back of your hand, or 3 on your neck, and 3 on your hand, that kind of stuff. You have millions of them on the inside of your body. And when you have them in your brain, this is the right side of the brain, the left side of the human brain, the left side's been removed. That surface of the left side of the human brain should be snow white like vanilla ice cream. But it's the same color as liver spots and age spots because it's the same chemical. Because the fat in the brain is oxidized here. This goes back to the days of the Egyptian mummies thousands of years ago. So the first dementia in humans was called senile dementia. I've never heard of senile dementia, okay? That happened thousands of years before Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is a physician-caused disease. It's only been around since 1942. Alzheimer's disease is a physician-caused disease, and I'll show you that in a second. There are no genetically transmitted diseases. I'm going to skip this because we don't have enough time to go through these guys. All birth defects are developed in the first trimester of pregnancy, whether you're all vertebrates, whether you're, again, a snake or a human being or a hummingbird or a giraffe, it doesn't matter. All vertebrates, birth defects occur first trimester. James, biochemist, Francis Crick, a British biochemist, Watson and Crick. If you're into genetics, you'll know the name because they were credited with 1953 with proposing the physical structure of DNA. Transfer information for vertebrates. 9 years later, 1962, they proved it, and so they got the Nobel Prize for it, and money began to flow. I mean, over the next 50 years, $100 trillion worth of teeth, $100 trillion worth of grants were given to medical schools, veterinary schools, schools of pharmacy. They raised money in pharmaceutical companies because everybody wanted to be the first one to find a gene that they could make in the laboratory would prevent and/or cure genetic disease. Well, they failed. They couldn't do it because there are no genetically transmitted diseases. I said that in 1971. Now, I came back and I did all these autopsies where the first thing I was finding in the zoo animals and human beings was that nothing was exactly right. I'm finding sickle cell anemia. How many of you heard of sickle cell anemia? It's supposed to be a genetic disease for the black population, right? I'm finding it in white people. It's called thalassemia in white people because they couldn't, have a black gene in a white guy, so they changed the name to white guys. It's thalassemia in white guys. I'm finding it in hummingbirds and flamingos and giraffe and buffalo. What's going on here? So this is in the newspaper. I'm in the newspaper just about every day project. And it turns out it's a birth defect. How did you make birth defect? Mom was missing one nutrient when the red blood cells were forming. When the cells that make red blood cells were forming, and it was missing. So those cells only made dysfunctional hemoglobin. It didn't matter if you're a hummingbird or a human being, a white guy, a black guy, a yellow guy, a red guy, it doesn't matter, because it's not a genetic thing, it was a birth defect, just like cleft palate and so on. Okay? A birth defect in the bone marrow cells would make hemoglobin. So after 50 years and $100 trillion, he couldn't find a genetic disease or a cure for a genetic disease, or prevention for a genetic disease. So he got James Watson, the American who had half that Nobel Prize, come and speak to them in San Diego. And since I lived there, I was working there, we had longevity going, of course, I went to it. They said, why are we finding the cure for prevention? Okay, you need a little rubber salt in that kid. Okay. Okay, so anyway, he got in front of this crowd, and I was there. He said, you can sequence the genes of 150,000 people you think have a genetic disease like cancer and diabetes and high blood pressure and heart disease and Alzheimer's disease and birth defects, all this kind of stuff. It's not going to cure anybody because it's not the solution. The solution is good chemistry, good biochemistry, aka good nutrition. Well, I said that in 1970. I said that in 1970. Okay, 43 years earlier. This is my sentence on the right here, the death of genetic disease transmission. It became a subtitle of the book Epigenetics. That was me in 1977, when I discovered the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis, and it was all, again, documented by people who were experts in the pathology of cystic fibrosis. I didn't tell them the slides are from the monkeys. I just said, I think this is cystic fibrosis. What do you think? Oh, yeah, it's classic cystic fibrosis. And then I told them it was the monkeys. Oh, good, we got an animal model now. It turns out, I got biopsies of all the other baby monkeys in the colony, and they all have cystic fibrosis. I'm related to the other one. All different mother fathers. So I knew it was an environmental thing. Unfortunately, they had saved the blood from the parents every month for 6 years. They saved the blood every month for 6 months from every one of those 25 babies, unrelated, in the freezer. So in 3 days, found out the nutrient was missing, and found out immediately the cause-prevention cure of muscular dystrophy, of cystic fibrosis. And then they fired me. I told them it wasn't genetic, and they said, and here's all the evidence. They said, Wallach, you must be sniffing glue. This is the classic example of a genetic disease in humans. You can't say that. Well, here, just read all the stuff, look at all the biopsies, everything. All the experts say my monkey slides are from cystic fibrosis, and it's not genetic. You're fired. Well, that's when I went back to school and became a physician. Okay? And since that point, we found the cause-prevention cure of muscular dystrophy. Same sort of scenario. Muscular dystrophy is simple nutritional deficiency. It's not genetic. And we worked with Marvin Ropp from the Amish community, and we were able to reverse it in over 100 kids. The Amish community is in America. We gave Jerry Lewis 20 years ago. We gave him these charts from these 20 kids. Their doctor said they were cured, not me. He got so excited. He says, "Well, you got to come along with me." No, Jerry, this is your thing. This is, you take it. This is yours. 20 years you've been the spokesperson for the disease. This is your baby. You earned the right to say we found the cure. He took it to them. They fired him as their spokesperson and shut down the telethons because of their arrogance. Broke him. He died an unhappy man. Black Gene Lives. I never heard of Pastor Creflo Dollar from the East Coast, Atlanta, Georgia, great TV evangelist. Andy Young was very interested in my work. He was from the Civil Rights Movement with Dr. King. He was also a pastor. He was also, let's see here, he did radio. He was what? He was a little bit of everything. He was mayor of Atlanta for I don't know how many terms. He was also the ambassador to the United Nations under Jimmy Carter. I mean, Andy Young was it. Okay? One of the most well-known black people in America. Just a great guy, great education, great personality. He helped everybody. He calls me up. He said, "I got Pastor Dollar with me here. His 11-and-a-half-year-old daughter has got a genetic form of asthma. So my antennae are going up because there are no genetic diseases. And she got a genetic form of asthma. She's not responding to any maintenance medication for the asthma or emergency medication. The doctors are telling her that they're telling him she'll be dead before she's 12. She'll die tonight, next week, but she's not going to be 12. So who told her that? Emory University. Those are the ones who fired me. in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, same people. So, well, sir, I can help you. This is not a genetic thing. The reason why she's not responding to the maintenance medication or the emergency medication, she's not absorbing the medicine. We've all heard people who say, oh, I got these headaches. I mean, these headaches are killers. This headache is so terrible, I can take a whole bottle of aspirin and won't touch it. How many of you heard of people like that? The medicine just doesn't touch it. Well, that's because they're not absorbing the medication. They have a gluten problem. So he says, look, she's not absorbing the medication. That's why she's not responding. We need to get her and everybody in the household, Pastor Taffy, the mother, yourself, Pastor Dollar, the grandmother, the chef, everybody in the family, the dog, the cat, the bird, the fish, everybody's going to be drop dead gluten free. So there's no cross contamination in the laundry, food preparation services. You should call me in 2 weeks and 4 weeks and 6 weeks. Also, no fried food, no processed meats, no also gluten, so wheat, bread, and oats, and sugar. And then I want her to take a 90 centimeters for her body weight. And I want you to call me in 2 weeks and 4 weeks and 6 weeks. Tell me what's going on. And at first he said, well, but all these experts in genetics say, I said, well, you have 2 options here. You can follow what they say and hug her and love her, and within a couple of weeks she will be dead. I agree with that. She'll be dead. Based on what you're telling me. And if she goes to heaven, God will love her and take care of her. But if you do what I say, you still pray for her. When you do what I say, and if I'm right, you'll be getting grandchildren from this girl. So I think I'm going to do what you say. Okay, very good. So he calls me in 2 weeks. I really was surprised. I thought he wasn't going to call me. He calls me in 2 weeks. He says, Dr. Wallach. I said, yes, sir. May I ask you how your daughter's doing? And he took a deep breath, and I could tell he was really forcing himself, collecting himself to tell me. I said, uh-oh, is this going to be good or what? And so he said, she's sure! And 2 weeks after 11 and a half years getting worse and worse and worse and worse, it's a miracle she didn't die. And 3 months later, making a long story short, 3 months later, I get this big check from Pastor Dollar. It has so many zeros, I thought I was a professional athlete. And so I called him up and said, Pastor Dollar, I'm sending your check back. I'm not even going to deposit it. I didn't want you to think I'm being rude here and just send it back without anything. I want to talk to you first. I don't take money for diagnosis. I don't take money for the sale of products. I don't take money for monitoring cases like your daughter's. But I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your thoughtfulness, but I'm going to send you the check back. And I didn't want you to think I'm being rude and disrespectful. Whoa, 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 before you hang up, Wallach. You do a research project with the money's laws. I don't get any royalties. You do a research project with the money's laws. I don't get any royalties. No, I'm not going there. And so what would you like to research? He said, I want you to look at all the diseases said to be genetic in the black population. Take all the diseases said to be genetic in the black population, and you tell me which ones that are liars that are not. And we will say, we'll raise the money, we'll save them all. I say, you're on. So I used that money to hire 10 graduate students in biochemistry. We did 6 years of research in 6 months. I made a manuscript for this book and sent him a copy. I said, look, we're going to publish this book in 6 weeks. I want you to review the book. If there's anything you don't like, just tell me. I'll just take it out and won't argue with you. You paid for everything, so, okay? So he calls me in 3 days and print it just like it is. Because the book showed there are no genetic diseases in black people of any kind. High blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, heart disease, obesity, Alzheimer's disease, blindness, you name it. There are kidney failure. There are no genetic diseases of any kind. And black people, white people, red people, yellow people. And after he read the manuscript, he had me come and speak to his church. And we have 2 DVDs. We have 2 CDs all about the same time, Black Sheep Lives. Every black kid in America needs to read this book and listen to the CDs and watch the DVDs. Every black kid in the world in Africa needs to read and listen and watch, because it will take a weight off of them. Because they're still being told by their doctors that they have all these genetic problems, because that attaches them to their doctor. And there she is, 20 years later, age 30, asthma-free, and grandkids for Pastor Dollar. Does he look happy? So 20 years later, it's looking pretty good. Faith without works is dead. You can't be a drug addict and continue to give yourself drugs and pray and expect God to save you. We got to do our part in each case, right? And so we're very, very proud of this relationship we have with Pastor Dollar and his family. This is another one, Pastor Mike Friedman from Baltimore, Maryland. This just happened very recently, just a couple of years ago, when the bird flu was going up and down the East Coast, and people were dying by the hundreds, and so many people were going into comas and dying the next day. In the upper right-hand corner is Miss Linda. and she's one of our great associates with longevity, but she's his TV tech. She is his TV techie because he's a TV evangelist. He's sort of a student of Pastor Dollars. And she calls me, she's crying and weeping. I said, well, Miss Linda, what's going on? She says, well, Pastor Mike went into a coma. He had the flu, he was coughing and self-medicating, and he went into a coma. The doctor said he'll be dead before sunup. And they put him in this ward with 10 other guys who were supposed to be dead before breakfast. He said, well, what, is there anything we can do? I said, well, yeah. It's a big girly purse, and these big things like a suitcase, with 6 quarts of pen in there, get a couple of face pumps, put them on his knees, and lift the covers up over his knees, get in that ward, and with a big Bible, and tell them you're going to pray him into heaven, and don't tell them what you're going to do, and when they're not there, on a cigarette break or something crazy, or eating, or going to the bathroom, lift the covers up above his knees, wet those washcloths with minerals, just do that every 15 minutes. I want the minerals running down his legs. She's like, so I said, yeah, just do that. So she called me in the morning. I know it's 7 o'clock on the East Coast because I'm in San Diego. It's 4 o'clock there. And she called me. She's weeping and crying. I said, okay, Miss Linda, how'd Pastor Mike do last night? She said, well, it's predicted, very serious, it was predicted. 10 to 11 died before sunup this morning. The only one who lived was Pastor Mike. I said, well, is he in a hospital? She said, no. They couldn't talk him into going to the hospital. I said, well, how's he doing? She said, well, he's at the TV studio telling the world about his story, how the mineral saved his life. So he interviewed me twice. He wouldn't do that before because he had all these other people in his church who were network marketing companies. He didn't want to get him started with network marketing, talking in his church, right? So he interviewed me twice. We took it off the TV program and put it on a DVD called Praise the Lord and Pass the 90. If you're in the military, you know what that means. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. Praise the Lord and pass the 90. And now it's also in a CD form. So you can get it in the CD and the DVD. Praise the Lord and pass the 90. It tells the whole story. What a beautiful tool. What a beautiful tool. The DVD and the CD. This is why I'm considered one of the 2 fathers, along with Bruce Lipton, like Lipton Teeth, a British guy, who were considered the 2 fathers of the science of epigenetics. When Perkins called me back from Africa, I mean, we were in the newspaper all the time. We were flying in the face of all the experts in the environment and medicine and everything. And so there was always big controversy. We're always in the front page of all the newspapers of the world, literally. And so Monsanto Chemical Company and Dow Chemical Company called the project, called Perkins, and said, look, we want to give you a hydroponics machine and give you the fertilizer to make sprouts to feed all your animals in the zoo. And Perkins tells me this, and he says, these are guys that are killing the earth with all their poisons and all their chemicals and this and the other. They want to give us this stuff and have shoes. We can't do that. So like, you got to prove. So not just saying stuff. You need to prove that their products and then their hydroponics machine and their fertilizer is going to kill all the animals in the zoo. We can't do that. So I figured, how am I going to do that? Okay, this would be tough. Okay, I'm sitting there looking at the pond in the middle of the zoo, and here's a pair of mallard ducks for $3 each, male and female, building a nest. And so I asked the keeper, do you know anything about those 2 ducks? He said, yeah, they come here every year. This is their 10th year. They lay their eggs, they have their babies every fall. They and their babies all fly away. And see all those other nests around? Those are all the babies. They have like making 30 nests around here because of that pair of ducks. He says, okay, what I want you to do this year, they lay their first eggs, so they're still building the nest. I want you to get a black marker, put a black mark on one egg, take all the rest of them, put them in the freezer. I want you to freeze them, like frozen human embryos. She'll lay some more eggs. You take them all except that one, you put the black marks on. When you get over 100 eggs, you call them. 6 weeks later, I'm doing autopsies, all my chemistries and everything. 6 weeks later, you call and say, okay, we have over 110 frozen eggs in the freezer. So you take them all out of the freezer, put them in your office at room temperature, and so they're all the same age, right? And so I rented one of these incubators about the size of a U-Haul trailer and pulled it in behind the hospital there in the zoo and put these 110 eggs in the incubator. 21 days later, they all hatched. They're all perfectly normal because the mother and father got the little duck pelts from Wallach cream with all the vitamins and minerals in it, and divide them into 4 groups, put 25 in each group, 25 in group 1, 25 in group 2, 25 in group 3, 25 in group 4. Group number 1 got lettuce, so is all it got. Group number 2 got hydroponic grown garlic grass. we trimmed off the seeds. The seeds were fed to the white rats. The white rats were fed to the snakes. We're tracking pollution in that direction. And the baby ducks are getting barley grass, so they're getting pollution in that direction from the fertilizer. And you can see it's 20% bigger by weight. Look at the difference in the size of the head and length of the body. Group number 3 with a little ruler on it, which is 3 inches long. A little ruler is 3 inches long, give you size of the duck concept. They got the Ralston Creek duck pulse that the mother and father got. 3 times bigger than group number 1 and 2. Group number 4 got the hypothetical grown barley grass, cut off the seeds. The seeds were fed to the white rats. The white rats were fed to the snakes, and tracking pollution in that direction, tracking pollution of the barley grass to the big ducks. And so they got the hypothetical grown barley grass and the duck pellets. They're 5 times bigger than group 1 and 2, and 3 times bigger than group number 3. All the same mother, father, the same hatching season. The only thing different was what they were fed. But the same thing is true for longevity, for intelligence, for strength and speed, resistance to disease, creativity. All the things we attribute to good genes are really just epigenetics. What the babies are fed after they're born. Okay, now, Bruce Lipton, he has a problem because he shows by using identical twins that are separated under 1 year of age. One goes to New York, one goes to Texas. One in Texas is 6'5". His IQ is 60. He's a basketball player. One that goes to New York, he's 5'6". His IQ is 200, and he's a big techie inventor, right? Identical twins. So they just were fed differently and lived in different places. These guys were 15 when they were separated. And of course, they don't look like identical twins. They look like maybe brothers. They maybe look like first cousins. They're 53 years old, but they've been separated since they were 15, but they don't look like identical twins. Down syndrome is a very famous birth defect. It's not genetic. When the sperm fertilizes the egg, or XX female, XY male, we're one-celled human being for a few moments. And then we divide into a 2-celled human being. If there's one nutrient missing, there's specifically one nutrient that's required, so you make a good division. If it's not there, or in low amounts, you get Down syndrome, trisomy 21. Okay? Lauren Knievel, Evil Knievel's niece-in-law calls me and says her embryo was 2.5 months along, and the embryo was diagnosed with Down syndrome, and she heard that I've been able to prevent Down syndrome in babies by giving the Down syndrome embryos before 2 months of age, the 90 nutrients through the mother, and the baby would be born normal. I said, well, you're 2.5 months along, I can't guarantee it. She said, well, I'm not going to get an abortion, so let's just do it anyway. The baby was born perfectly normal, it's perfect. Now, this is a great story. Wendy and Ben are 2 Down syndrome kids. This was a celebration a couple of days ago in Texas, their 16th wedding anniversary. I danced with her 16 years ago at their wedding. I'm the best man at dozens and dozens of Down syndrome weddings every year. Because when I give them the 90 essential nutrients, even after they're born, their IQ goes up 100 points. Then, the same month they celebrated their 16th wedding anniversary. Ben retired after 25 years of working at Texas A&M as in the engineering department as a computer data entry guy. Oh, not a guy. He was the head of the department. And Wendy, she's still working as the public relations main officer for Chick-fil-A. Now you have to appreciate they're not a burden on the parents, they're not a burden, they never were, they're not a burden on society, they're not a burden on the church. They fit into American and the world as normal people, just because they got the 90 essential nutrients after they were born. Are you getting a picture of what responsibility we have? Cleft palate different. Baby's born with a cleft palate. Baby, mom was missing something when the baby went from a flat disc to a tube, and the palate and the lip and everything's cleft. It's a surgical case. But if we give the mothers the 90 essential nutrients for 3 to 6 months prior to pregnancy, Give them the 90 essential nutrients, get them off the raw gluten so they get a maximum absorption. No, we run our oats. There'll never be another baby born with cleft palate. All vertebrates, and this is a long story, so I'm not going to tell it. Arctic foxes in a zoo, but all vertebrates, when they have a deficiency of one nutrient early in pregnancy, when they go from a flat disc to a tube, they're going to get a cleft palate, cleft lip, they're deficient in that nutrient. The short version is they wanted to kill the mother and father because they had bad genes. They said, no, no, no. What you feed them? We only fed them red meat. They're meat eaters. Well, no, did you give anybody minerals? No, we just fed them horse meat because they're meat eaters. That's why the babies were born with all cleft palates. So let's just give them vitamins and minerals this time with the red meat, and let's see how they do. Well, make a long story short, in 3 years, because I bred the mother to the sons and the father to the daughters, and brothers and sisters, we gave them dog food. All the nutrients in it, and there was another one born for that pair of Arctic foxes with cleft palate. Proved it. This is a 6-foot cat, not 6 foot tall, but has 2 feet on each of the front legs and 1 foot on each of the back legs. Because again, it was fed just meat and no vitamins and minerals. It's a very common birth defect in all species, including humans. Babies are born with 10 toes and 1 foot, that kind of stuff. It's surgical stuff. If you take all 90 essential nutrients and get rid of all the gluten, so you can maximize absorption, this will never happen again. Hydroencephalocele is spina bifida of the brain. In the 1960s, one of my first lawsuits against the FDA in federal court, and also the CDC and all the boys, we got all these petitions, okay, from going to these various events and so forth. We got petitions and thousands of signatures, and we provided them to the courts, and they allowed us to insist and require prenatal vitamins to have folic acid. You may hear folic acid being in prenatal vitamins to prevent spina bifida. No, that's me. I forced that to happen. Okay? Hydroencephalocele is spina bifida of the brain. And any vertebrate is missing folic acid, and that's from the early stages of pregnancy, when the baby goes from a flat disc into a tube. You have a probability of having hydroencephalocele or spina bifida or both. Okay? And if you haven't seen spina bifida, this is what it looks like. Totally preventable. You have to give them the 90% nutrients for 3 to 6 months prior to conception. No gluten so they can maximize absorption. You're not what you eat, you're what you absorb. Why do we do this to our kids? Because the OB/GYNs have failed us. They should have said, look, you should grab each little girl and each little boy by their throat and say, look, you're getting into the age now when you're in the childbearing years. You're going through puberty. Oh, we're not going to have sex until we're married. Yeah, right, okay. You're going to take the 90 essential nutrients. Otherwise, I'm going to personally strangle you. You're going to have to take the 90 essential nutrients to prevent all these birth defects. They don't do that. They say, oh, you need a pap smear. I'm only 12 years old. You need a pap smear. Okay, you need mammograms. You need this, you need that. Okay? But they never tell them to take the 97. Somebody needs to go to jail. The country that has the most babies born with 2 heads, there's a lot of snakes and every kind of vertebrate you can think of born with 2 heads, is India. This is why so many of their Brahmin gods and goddesses have 2 heads, because so many babies are born with 2 heads, because there's a specific nutrient in this, but babies are born with 2 heads. A lot of snakes are born with 2 heads, okay? And obviously a dolphin, a porpoise here, okay? Any vertebrate deficient in nutrient at the right stage of gestation, whether they come from an egg or a uterus, it doesn't matter, you're going to get 2-head babies. Cerebral palsy, it's an underdevelopment of the cerebellum. The middle part of the brain, which controls stuff. This girl here cannot do anything for herself. You don't need she to move by herself or rise. You can see she's looking at the photographer. She's catheterized the urine. You have to change her to tents 15 times a day because she poops in them constantly. She's dribbling liquid poop. She's fed through a G-tube. She has to have physical and respiratory therapy 10 times a day. She has her tampons changed for her every hour, whatever it is. Okay, everything has to be done for her. It costs $5 million a year to take care of this girl. If the parents would have been taking the 90 essential nutrients before conception and stayed away from gluten, It costs $300 one time for that pregnancy. This is why our insurance rates go up. Okay? Because somebody's got to pay for this. It's all the other insurance holders. Okay? So we can save these kids from these horrible, horrible, horrible things. We can save the families, we can save the communities, we can save the churches from all this stuff. But they got to get on the 90 and stay away from all the bad stuff to maximize absorption. This is a llama. Again, 454 species. There's a llama with cerebral palsy. That triangular lobe of the brain there with the arrow on it, okay, is a cerebellum. It should be 3 times that big to cover that fourth ventricle, that little depression in the brainstem. And of course, it was wobbling around like a drunk sailor after it was born. Then they asked me what's going on. I went and looked at it. Oh, it's got cerebral palsy. Right. Yeah, so they killed it, did a autopsy, and sure enough, I was able to show them that it had cerebral palsy. Every possible birth defect that you could conceive of has been seen in the autopsy room and in the birthing room, all caused by nutritional deficiency. Would this kid be able to play on a track team? I don't think so. All caused by nutritional deficiencies at a certain time of pregnancy. Snow leopard with a birth defect. You see, a third of the liver is above the diaphragm, all the small intestines are up in the chest, displacing the heart and lungs. Atresia is a word which means a normal structure is missing. Atresia anite is a little boy who was 2 hours old. The picture here is born without an anal opening. So it's a surgical procedure here. This is very, very common birth defect in humans. So are cyclopic babies in the Bible? Okay. It's in all the old mythology. It was true. It's caused by deficiency of a single nutrient. The baby goes from a flat disc into a tube. Totally preventable. This is not genetic. The doctor, oh, you got a bad gene in your family. You need to get a hysterectomy. You don't have more babies. No. You need to take the 90% nutrients and get off the gluten. Everything will be fine. One in 16,000 farm animals are diagnosed with cyclopic eyes here in the United States alone. 1 in 250 human babies are diagnosed with it every year. Now, you don't see them because mostly they're either early abortions when they do the ultrasound, they look at the embryo, or maybe they say miscarriage. They bring the little embryo and they look at it in the microscope and it has 1 eye. There's my cystic fibrosis baby, 1977. It's in the newspaper every day. But boy, Emory University, boy, they thought they'd had it. I was working for NASA, the Yerkes Primate Center, all the monkeys going to space. And it was a big thing. So we were in the newspaper every day. In the newspaper every day. They were so excited until I told them it wasn't genetic, and then they fired me. At that time, the average lifespan of these kids with cystic fibrosis was 5 to 7 years. They never lived 12 years. They always died before 12 years of age. Today, their average lifespan is 51, 57, and many, many, many live to be 70s and 80s just like everybody else. They do everything right as they're supposed to. Keyshawn disease is the same sudden heart death you see in young athletes. How many of you read in your local newspaper or regional newspaper or national newspaper on TV where some athlete dies, heart attack in 20s, or Pop Warner League, they're 13 years old kind of thing? There's one province in China called Keyshan province where several thousand of these kids die every month. Several thousand die each month in this province because this nutrient is missing there, okay? It's caused by deficiency of a single nutrient. And so through Milan and her family, which had a lot of power in China, I got permission to do 2,000 autopsies of these kids that died of this Keyshan disease, sudden heart death caused by deficiency of a single nutrient. It's in 3 languages. The English version is in the Journal of Trace Almond Research, so if you don't believe me, you can look it up. All the pictures of the microscopic pathology and so forth. I was able to do 1,700 autopsies in 6 weeks. 3 hospitals provided the bodies and did the slides and the chemistry. 1,700. 200 for crib death. They were under 1 year of age. So we put this into a paper. This goes way back. Okay? And we took it, again, thousands of signatures, petitions to the FDA from the for 30 years. But finally, in April 16, 2013, a federal judge awarded me a win. He said, okay, we're going to force them to put that nutrient in baby formula. Until then, they only had 3 minerals in the baby formula. They didn't even have iron in there. Okay? And so, make a long story short, they forced these manufacturers of baby formulas to put this nutrient in there. And 6 months later, the state of North Carolina, in their state newspaper, the Charlotte Observer, headlines just like World War III. I mean, big headlines, dark print. We don't know why, but his rulings vanished in North Carolina. 3 months later, Missouri said the same thing. 3 months later, all the states are coming. We don't know why, but SIDS deaths have dropped by 75 to 80%. Now, if you're still giving that baby something like soy milk, it still could die of SIDS. But if you're giving it baby formulas that have these nutrients in there, it's not going to die of SIDS. 10% of SIDS occurs in car seats. Drive for a couple hours, you get there. Come on, Frankie, we're at Grandma's house. Frankie died of that heart attack. They'll call it SIDS, put in the SIDS category. They don't say, oh, I got a chest pain, take me to the emergency room. They just quietly go to sleep and die of a heart attack. Autism in the 1980s was 1 in 250,000. 1 in 250,000 had autism. In 2015, it was 1 in 45. Today, it's 1 in 40. Because the food quality is going down, down, down. Autism is due to the deficiency of a single nutrient. And all of the drugs that they get, doesn't matter if it's things like THC, if it's Ritalin and all that kind of stuff, talk therapy, none of that's going to work because it's a deficiency of a single nutrient. They're controlling symptoms, but not getting rid of the problem. You want to read the book, Rare Earths Hidden Cures, chapters 4, 5, and 6, and then read chapter 11 on how to collect the hair. It's the only way you can tell that deficiency of nutrients by hair analysis, chapter 11. That book was written right after Columbine happened because I knew why that guy shot up the school. What book? Rare Earths Hidden Cures. Rare Earths are a trace mineral. Okay? Rare Earths Hidden Cures. All the school shootings, mass murders, suicides, domestic violence, ADD, ADHD, autism, all caused by deficiency of that single nutrient. Depression, anxiety, paranoia, PTSD. That's why vegetarians have such a hard time. Plants only need 3 elements to make good seeds for the next generation. Vertebrates require 60 elements from the soil. Unless you're supplementing, vegetarians are always in trouble. They're always depressed. Steve Paddock, the shooter from Vegas. Devin Patrick Kelly, the shooter from Texas. The most recent shooter from Texas. These guys were collecting guns and ammunition for 14 years in their cars, in their trucks, in their workplace, in their homes, and their vacation spots because they were paranoid and they knew whoever they are, they knew they were after them. They wanted to be prepared to defend themselves wherever they came from. But after 10, 12, 15, 20 years, they couldn't wait anymore because their deficiency got worse and worse and worse. And they knew now was the time, and they had to go get them before they got them. That's why they go shoot up the schools and apartments and the movie theaters and so forth. Because they're deficient in that one nutrient. You can tell these guys have a gluten problem because they have rosacea. They look like drunken Irishmen. Because one nutritional deficiency will cause rosacea in the face like that. And it always occurs, even if you're supplementing with it, if you're eating gluten, because gluten won't let you absorb that nutrient. This guy was threatening killing students and teachers for 6 years before he shot up the school. All they did was give him Ritalin and talk therapy. Nobody did a hair analysis on him and gave him minerals. People say, well, Wallach, if it's nutritional deficiency, how come it's only men shoot up people? No, women do the same thing, but they don't use weapons. But they don't get training in heavy weapons, AK-47s and things like that. Yuki Ishikawa, she's a demon midwife in Japan. She killed 100 kids a year, many years. And the last year, she found out they're coming for her. They figured out it was her killing all these kids. She was suffocated with a pillow. She killed 103 before they caught her that year. His grandmother here in the United States, in October 2018, not even a year ago. Carolyn Jones, 48 years old, stabbed her 20-month-old granddaughter multiple times. Her poor granddaughter didn't die, so she puts her in the oven and cooks her to death. How many of you heard of mothers and grandmothers who put their kids and grandkids in the car, lock the baby lock on the doors and drive the car into the lake and drown everybody? That's what women do. They'll get their spouse and all the kids drunk or intoxicated on drugs, and then they'll burn the house down. That's what women do. They don't shoot up at school. They do it differently. They have the same nutritional deficiency. Get the picture here. In book Rare Nutrition chapter 5, there's a table in there. This is 25% of that table. I want you to see that, you know, somebody's killing 17 people with an AK-47. I love that Dr. Herman Mudgett from Chicago, 1891 to 1895, 4-year period. He killed and ate 200 of his patients. It's a medical doctor. He killed and ate 200 of his patients. He killed and ate 200 of his patients. There's no AK-47 involved there. There's over 8 million American kids under the age of 18 right now. 1 million of them are under the age of 6. These under age 6 are on prescription psychotropic drugs. There's 1 million kids under the age of 6 coming to kill you. They want to kill you. You better get them on, better get that hair analysis and get them on the 90 and get them off the bad foods. Otherwise, it's only going to get worse. The darkest zones in these states show you where the worst heart attacks are. The biggest numbers, the most severe. And of course, then it's not quite as severe, but still, death is pretty bad, right? But you can see, once you see that it's the Gulf states, the mid-south, eastern seaboard, there's certain counties in California and in Arizona, because there's a lot of Native Americans and Latinos, and they fry everything, but the nutrients are missing, like Keyshawn. Keyshawn Province, China. The nutrients aren't there, not there. And cattle, the same disease, that place is called white muscle disease. In pigs, it's called mulberry heart disease. It's Keyshawn disease in China. It's all deficiency, that one nutrient. Over the past 10 years, since March of 2019, recently, over the past 10 years, the rate of heart attacks in people under the age of 40 has gone up 20% in America. These are emergency room visits for heart attack. All the education, all the drugs, all the nutrition, all the doctors, all the cardiology, all the pharmaceuticals. It's gone up. It's gone up, what? 20%. Because the nutrients aren't there in the food anymore. And they're doing everything wrong. But the doctors tell them what to do, and the doctors are telling them wrong. Remember, I told you, cholesterol is your best friend. These people are dying because they cooked everything in olive oil, in MCT oil, in coconut oil. Bam! You're dead. I learned this in 1969. I was given study my 20,000 autopsy. Where did they get their cholesterol? They're not eating eggs. They're not eating meat. These are sheep. They're eating grain and grass and hay and stuff like that. So I picked up all their food and I took it to the lab. And it was just and metal born, and the wheat germ oil oxidized and turned into trans fats that are like a pill. It was the oxidized wheat germ oil. It caused inflammation in arteries and plugged their arteries, not cholesterol. Cholesterol is your best friend. 75% of all birth rates, grains are cholesterol. The white matter of the brain, the mile in the brain is cholesterol, 100%. You go on statin drugs and Lipitor and all those other things, eat 8 liters instead of 8, drink margarine instead of butter, you wind up with Alzheimer's disease, ED, menopause at age 30. Because testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone is 95% by weight of cholesterol. So when you do what the doctors say, you can't even remember what sex was. So you have Alzheimer's disease and ED. Now you're a Viagra man. That's why only dead doctors don't lie. Congestive heart failure is caused deficiency of a single vitamin. We've known that since the days of sail 200, 300, 400 years ago. Well, sailors used to die of beriberi and pellagra and all that kind of stuff. Congestive heart failure is caused by the deficiency of a single vitamin. I can reverse that in weeks. Give them a healthy band heart pack, give them the ultimate, give them the de-stress capsules, the ultimate Niacin Plus, get rid of all the bad foods. I mean, the 3 eggs 3 times a day with soft yolks, soft boiled, soft yolks, soft poached, soft yolks, soft scrambled butter, and congestive heart failure goes away. Same way with cardiomyopathy heart disease. That's Keyshawn disease. That's deficiency of a single mineral. Coronary artery disease. That's caused by cooking everything in oils or heating up oils. Coronary thrombosis, blood clot in the coronary artery. That's a deficiency of a single nutrient. That same nutrient deficiency can cause a blood clot in the brain, coronary thrombosis in the coronary artery in the heart, thrombotic stroke in the brain, pulmonary embolism in the lung, deep vein thrombosis in the leg. None of these are caused by cholesterol or genetics. These are all caused by nutritional deficiencies and some inflammation. Only dead doctors don't lie. Monkeyberg, Johann Monkeyberg, was a medical doctor back in the late 1800s. He lived in Norway, and they were just learning that cod liver oil could prevent and cure rickets. Now, they didn't know anything about vitamins and minerals. They just knew there was something in cod liver oil that could prevent and cure rickets. And so he's preaching, going up and down all these fjords in Norway and Scandinavia, and telling them they need to be giving their babies the cod liver oil, and that would prevent and cure rickets. And so there's always a grandmother who would say, well, why would I just give my baby, whom I love very much, half a teaspoon of this cod liver oil twice a day? If it's this good, I'm going to give him a coffee cup twice a day. So 700 kids died one summer in Norway in the fjords because all these grandmothers were tripling and quadrupling and quadrupling the dosage of cod liver oil. And all these babies died of plaque in the arteries. They named it after him, Monkeyberg sclerosis. They knew in 1900 the cause of plaque in the arteries was oil. President of the American Heart Association, 52, John Warner had a heart attack. He survived. He's still on medication today. He's disabled. They allowed him to maintain his designation as a specialist in cardiology. Who would go to a cardiologist and have a heart attack? So why did doctors demonize cholesterol? So there's a guy by the name of Ansel Keys, who's on the board of directors of Procter & Gamble. He's on the board of directors of the American Heart Association. He's also the head of the Department of Medicine at the University of Minnesota. You know Ansel Keys, okay? And he wanted to really do something because he wanted people to come to the University of Minnesota. So he taught the Procter & Gamble to give the American Heart Association $1.7 million in exchange for an academic endorsement of their new product called Crisco. Now, Crisco was a solid and a liquid. It was made from cottonseed oil. Oil, bingo, oil, bingo, oil, bingo, cottonseed oil. And so he said, look, this product will save your family. Your family is dying because you're feeding them lard, butter, cream, and eggs, and grandmas are doing that. They're killing everybody with lard, butter, cream, and eggs. So they gave, Procter & Gamble gave the American Heart Association $1.7 million. Every year they gave them millions of dollars to keep pushing Crisco, keep pushing Crisco. Procter & Gamble loved it, of course. Crisco started out as it was a lubricant for a diesel engine for Nazi submarines in the First World War. After the war, they were allowed to sell it as soap. And so they couldn't sell it as soap because everybody's making their own soap. They sold it to Procter & Gamble. They couldn't sell it as soap because everybody's making their own soap. So in 1942, they come up with the idea of turning it into a cooking sharpener. And Ansel Keys, of course, went to an advertising firm and says, well, how do we get people to buy our Crisco instead of lard, butter, cream, and eggs? And he said, well, you got to demonize what grandma's doing. And they analyzed lard, butter, cream, and eggs. There were two common threads, saturated fat and cholesterol. They demonized that so they could sell Crisco, a diesel engine lubricant for German Nazi submarines. Plaque in the artery skyrocketed. Heart attack skyrocketed. They started using Crisco for cooking and frying because it was made out of cottonseed oil. In 1991, Dr. Fred Kern Jr., who was the head of the Department of Medicine at the University of Colorado, was showing 6 newly graduated doctors how to diagnose and how to do physicals on seniors because they're going to do the residencies in nursing homes. He sees this guy, and the chart says he's 88 years old, but he looks like he's 50. They open up the chart, and all his blood tests and everything say he's a healthy 50-year-old. Says this you? He says, yeah, that's me, his average group, yeah. He says, well, sir, you're 88 years old. That's correct. What do you attribute your youthful looks and your health to? He says, I eat 25 eggs a day, been doing it for 17 years, now I do it for the next 100 years. He's 25 eggs a day. He says, why on earth? This is not what this doctor, one of these newly graduated doctors, did here. They've been hearing eggs are bad for you all through medical school, right? So he says, why do you eat 25 eggs a day? He says, because it gives me the sex life of an 18-year-old. Because remember, testosterone is cholesterol. 95% by weight cholesterol. He didn't eat no Viagra. And there he is, Ansel Keys. Notice that he's got the rosacea on his face. He has a gluten problem. They made him Man of the Year in 1961, covered Time magazine. 2014, they realized that they bet on the wrong horse. They had a 5-page article in there, eat butter, eat butter, eat butter, eat eggs, all in this 2014 version of Time magazine. Every paragraph in those 5 pages was a fraud that Ansel Keys had perpetrated over the years, and they had made him Man of the Year in 1961 because he had convinced everybody on earth that cholesterol was the cause of all heart disease and plaque in the arteries. The culture that has the fewest heart attacks and strokes in the Inuit Eskimos around the Arctic Circle, the total cholesterol is around 350 to 500. They eat nothing but whale meat and whale blubber, walrus meat and walrus blubber, seal meat and seal blubber, bear meat and bear fat. They do not eat fruit. They do not eat vegetables. They do not eat nuts. They do not eat grain. They just live on fat and meat. 1 month out of the year when salmon swim upstream, they eat salmon. That's it. Nobody believed it. So for the next 25 years, every year, when the thaw came, they could get up there. They reran the study. Guess what? Same thing for 25 years. 300, 500 had the fewest strokes and heart attacks in any culture on earth. More salt you eat, the lower your blood pressure goes. More salt you eat, the lower your blood pressure goes. It's crapola science to say that if you salt your food, your blood pressure is going to go up. It's not true. It's not true. The average lifespan for professional athletes, when you take all sports combined, is 62. When you take football players, Canadian Football League, CFL, American Football League, and the National Football League, NFL, is 51. Couch potatoes, the average life of a couch potato in America is 74. Couch potatoes live 23 years longer than professional athletes who get millions of dollars to play sports and train and eat well, and they have all these doctors and sports medicine doctors, and they have their trainers and coaches, and they have all their dietitians and everything. And yet couch potatoes outlive them by 23 years. To recognize a lot of these names. He invented the power bar. He's one of Jim Fixx's top guys. As at 51, cardiomyopathy, heart disease. Reggie Lewis, 20 years old, captain of the Boston Celtics, collapses during a playoff game with the Charlotte Hornets. Cardiomyopathy, heart disease. Keyshawn disease. On the right, this gal here, she actually died of ruptured aneurysm, which was caused by deficiency of another mineral. Renelda Pierce is her name. 19 years old, she dropped dead. Running down the floor, she drops dead of ruptured aneurysm caused by deficiency of another mineral. When you have white hair, varicose veins, hemorrhoids, you got aneurysm. This kid here, he got a good physical, had a cardiology test, and a heart test. But look at his cheeks. He's got that rosacea. He's got bad gluten problem. He couldn't absorb nutrients. Okay, 6'5", weighed 265 pounds. He's going to be a professional tackle in professional sports. But 80% of our kids are dying from these ruptured aneurysms and cardiomyopathy heart attacks because they can't absorb the nutrients. Their heart test, okay, their cardiogram, electrocardiogram, EKG, and their heart and their physical before they start playing sports shows their heart to be normal because it's not a physical structure problem, it's a nutritional deficiency problem. You recognize a lot of these people. This girl here died just within eyesight of the finish line. She just died May of this year. Okay, a month ago. 22 years old, Taylor Sipo, collapsed and died from Keyshawn disease, sudden hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart attack. Angel's pitcher, Connor Skaggs, 27 years old, dropped dead from a cardiomyopathy heart attack. These guys been with me for 30 years. Like Glenn, of course, he had bone arthritis in both his knees. I rebuilt his knees. But I put this in here to show these girls. They came in about the same time. Okay. The Jackie did. Remember Shar and Marge and Judy? And they're from Michigan. And this is on Shar's and one on the right. You're right. Her 76th birthday. They look like they're in their 40s. I deal a lot with young athletes. Theo Ratliff extended his career by 11 years. He made $140 million after I rebuilt his knees and his hips and his bones. He'd catch a fracture, catching a pass from his teammate. 6'11". His wife, who's 6'5", Christina, she loves me. Now here, this case, the darkest orange has the greatest numbers of obesity cases. Again, it's the Gulf states, Mid-South, Eastern Seaboard, the Great Lakes areas, and there's certain other places, because those minerals are missing there to prevent obesity. Obesity is a nutritional deficiency disease. It's not because you're eating too much and lack of exercise. Obesity is a single deficiency of a single nutrient. Here's that rosacea again, gluten problem. 10-year-old Japanese kid, 100 pounds overweight. All vertebrates, the same deficiency, get the same problem. A pastor from Michigan, Dr. Regina Patrick, she's from Detroit, Michigan on the left, 5'2", 325 pounds. She was on 13 prescription drugs for 7 diseases, any one of which could be fatal for 20 years. We put on 3 of the healthy weight loss packs. We didn't have any of the diets back then, those days. And in just 90 days, she was off of all the 13 prescription drugs. She'd been on 20 years. And there she is, all 4 of those pictures of her. And in 24 months, she's down 135 pounds just by supplementing. Same with Ivan Ledbetter from Charlotte, North Carolina. He was almost almost 500 pounds, 6'7", in 7 months' time, he's down to 165. Again, he just got rid of the bad foods and took the 90 essential nutrients. This picture of he and I is 7 years later. He's still 165. Carol Parsons and I are great friends, and in 2 years' time, she lost 376 pounds. I deal a lot with 600, 700, 800 pound people. They'll lose 2 pounds a day on our program. Little Keely, 15 years old on the left, 220 pounds. The boy used to knock her down, kick her, pee on her, spit on her, cuss her out. Torture that girl. In less than a year, she's down to 125, and now she's 18 years old, she weighs 110, and all the boys still chase her. Well, now they chase her because they want to date her. Again, osteoporosis, all the nutrients are missing from the soil. So the darkest states are the ones that have the most arthritis and osteoporosis. The eastern seaboard, the mid-south, the Gulf states, and of course the Great Lake areas around the west coast where a lot of the Native Americans are. There's me with Andy Young. I rebuilt his knees because he had bone arthritis, didn't want to be bumped. Alicia Jones, she's the center for that women's Olympic basketball team that won the 3 Olympics. And she's 6'5", and she's wearing 8-inch high heels. I asked her, I said, Alicia, we're in Ontario, California, from 3,000 people who give her an award because I had rebuilt her hamstrings and her Achilles because she had pulled them training for the 3rd Olympic, and I rebuilt her so she could play the 3rd Olympics. And I said, Alicia, you know, our computers have crashed. We need a couple minutes to reset them. So, can I ask you a couple of questions to kill the time? Yeah. Why is it a woman who's 6'5", why are you wearing 8-inch high heels? Because, you know, it's an obvious question. And so she turns around, puts her back to these 3,000 people, takes her hands, and she nudges me off to the side. She does a slow motion hula. She says, Doctor, because high heels make you sexy, into the microphone. I said, I can see that. These 2 girls here on the left, Kelly Heron, the one on the right, Jenny Jackson, they were from the University of Memphis, NCAA All-Americans, 6'2" on the left, 6'5" on the right. They took their shoes off, so I wouldn't be too embarrassed. Kelly had rotator cuff problems, and Jenny had the sciatica. She was actually diagnosed as having Parkinson's disease by the doctors. Rebuilt them. Of course, they came back and played a couple more seasons. Now they're just great distributors in longevity. Very proud of that. Even Harvard Medical School says now, knee surgery is worthless for arthritis. After looking at 300,000 records of people who've gotten knee replacement surgery. It doesn't do anything for you. They just cut the nerves when they take the knee out, put an artificial one in, and everything just keeps getting worse. It cost $5,000 to do a knee replacement surgery 25 years ago. Today it's $50,000. That's why your insurance is so high. Same thing with back surgery for sciatica. Of course, you take the healthy bone and joint pack, you throw in MSM, vitamin D3, the glucogel, it all goes away. I have a new book coming out, it'll be out in about a month. It goes into the 25 diseases that are caused by osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the 12 cranial nerves and squeezing the spinal cord as it comes out of the big hole in the back of your skull, foramen magnum. Of course, your doctor, when you have squeezing of these nerves, they send you to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. They send you to an eye specialist, an ear specialist. They'll send you to a neurologist. They do surgeries, they put you on drugs and medications. And you're literally hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bills would just take a few bucks a month to rebuild your skull and all these diseases go away. Okay, we're talking about loss of the sense of smell because the olfactory nerve, number 1, cranial nerve number 1 is being squeezed. You lose your vision. You don't have cataracts, you don't have macular degeneration, you don't have glaucoma, so why are you gradually getting blind? Because your skull is slowly squeezing the optic nerve. It's the optic nerve atrophy because of osteoporosis of the skull. And then there's tinnitus, ringing in the ears. How many of you heard of ringing in the ears, tinnitus? That's very common. That's the squeezing of the auditory branch of the eighth cranial nerve, osteoporosis of the skull. And then vertigo. Vertigo, you have balance problems. Meniere's disease is another name for it. As now it's called Wallach's vertigo because they figured out it's caused by squeezing the vestibular branch of the eighth cranial nerve. And then there's the seventh cranial nerve being squeezed, Bell's palsy. The fifth cranial nerve being squeezed. Oh, trigeminal neuralgia. And then what about your voice changes? You feel like you have a golf ball in your throat. That's the ninth cranial nerve, the glossopharyngeal nerve being squeezed. What about the 10th cranial nerve being squeezed? Okay? The vagus nerve. You get COPD, dry cough. There's nothing wrong with your lungs, but you get this dry cough. You get hiccups for 10, 15 minutes 4 times a week. Your stomach hurts like you have a big gastric ulcer in there, and you have all kinds of bowel problems, and you have tachycardia, fast heart rate. They may even misdiagnose you as having atrial fibrillation, which is really a back problem. And of course, you have spinal cord paralysis when your spinal cord is being squeezed. As long as it's osteoporosis to the skull. So I got tired of saying the same thing over and over and over, so it's going to be a book here. There's what a normal skull looks like on an x-ray, and the Paget's disease where you have osteoporosis of the skull. So you can see why those tunnels are being filled up with that connective tissue and squeezing the nerves. Type 2 diabetes is a simple nutritional deficiency of a single nutrient. It's not genetic in any way, shape, or form. We take people who've been a type 2 diabetic for 30 years and 30 days of ex-diabetics. We do this literally thousands of times a month all over the world. Diabetes is going up by 75% in the UK, in England, because the nutrients are no longer found in the food. The Pima Indians in Mexico have the lowest rate of type 2 diabetes and obesity in the world. The Pima Indians in Arizona have the highest rate. Same genetic pool. Look at the difference in them. They're exactly the same genetically, but the ones in Mexico have something in their food the ones in Arizona don't have. 6% diabetes and obesity in Mexico. Whoa! 46% in Arizona. Same genetic pool. UCLA, 55% of California adults have either type 2 diabetes or prediabetes because they're missing that nutrient. Cancer is self-inflicted. It is not a genetic thing. Well, we have 5 generations of cancer in our family. Overall, you all eat fried foods. You don't need a supplement. All in the same place, getting the food from the same place, and you're not getting any nutrition. That's why. Why is it that Tennessee has the highest rate of cancer? Kentucky Fried Chicken. Bam! You're dead. Look at New England, look at the Gulf states, look at the Mid-South. I said in 1971 that eating 1 serving of processed meats a day, whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, will increase your risk of cancer the same as smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And everybody laughed at me. In 2015, the World Health Organization came out and said the same thing. We knew in 1912 that supplementing with 200 micrograms, 1/5 of a milligram of selenium, just doing that alone, would reduce your risk of colorectal cancer by 95%, breast cancer by 82%, prostate cancer by 69%. They wouldn't publish it in medical journals, so they had to publish it in Popular Mechanics. And that was kind of interesting, very, very clever. But then in 1996, medical school at the University of Arizona redid the same study, had the same exact results. It's published now in medical journals. This was the Harvard Nurses Health Study. They looked at, and they gave physicals every year for 20 years to 90,000 nurses in America, called the Harvard Nurses Health Study. One of the things they found out was that the women who cooked their meat well done, where the fat was browned severely, it increased the risk of cancer the same as smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. They found that the ones who cooked their meat medium rare and the fat wasn't browned didn't get breast cancer. Okay, ladies, I know you heard me. Okay, so now you know how to cook your meat. In 2010, we learned that Chicago had the highest rate of colorectal cancer in the world. 90% of the colorectal cancer occurred in people under the age of 20. Almost all of them occurred in people who were in the lower income brackets, and they were using their food stamps to buy hot dogs, French fries, and Coca-Cola for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we had to figure out a way to communicate with them in an economical way, but we had to do it in their language. So we said, well, how would a teenager talk about this? We're not going to say, well, you have to cut back on your processed meats to reduce your risk of colorectal cancer. That's not going to mean anything. Let's just say we put 4 of these billboards around the Beltway around Chicago. Hot dogs cause butt cancer. And guess what? The sale of hot dogs and French fries in the inner city just collapsed. We're very proud of that. These are all the same disease. These are all the same disease. It's just by dumb luck, different parts of the brain have more severe injury. And because each part of the brain does a different thing, they get different symptoms. We have different names, but it's really the same disease. So, well, how do you deal with it? Well, look at the rosacea on Michael J. Fox's. You know, he's got a gluten problem. Everybody here needs to email him. Say, we can help you. We're going to change your diet, put you on 90% nutrients, and your Parkinson's disease will go away, Michael. I want you all to email him that, please. Okay. So anyway, same thing is true with MS, multiple sclerosis. Same thing is true with Huntington's disease. Same thing is true with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. So, better hear all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat bran around oats, no sugar. And then they need 12 eggs a day, 4 or 3 times a day. But soft yolks, soft boiled, soft poached, soft poached, soft yolks, soft scrambled butter. They need 1 healthy grain and hard pack per 100 pounds body weight. They need de-stress capsules, 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds body weight. They need Ultimate Niacin Plus, 2 of those twice a day per 100 pounds body weight. They need the Synaptive, 2 or 3 of those twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight, so the brain cells can make neurotransmitters so they can talk to each other. And this will all go away. We do it thousands of times every year all over the world. Low-fat dairy is tied to a higher risk of Parkinson's disease. There's a study of 128,000 Parkinson's patients in a dietary study. I actually did a big event in New York over this. And actually, it was a radio interview I did. It was a financial station in New York, of course. And the name of the station was, the name of, excuse me, not the station, but the name of the program was Guns and Butter. Mm-hmm. So when governments talk about money, they talk about guns and butter because it's agriculture and water, the 2 things that cost the most money. Okay? So we named this CD, a stick of butter day keeps the doctor away, because we showed all the reasons why people get Parkinson's disease. Skim milk instead of whole milk. Zero-fat yogurt instead of high-fat yogurt. Margarine instead of butter. Egg beaters instead of eggs. Okay? What do they call it when they put this sort of fake cream in your coffee instead of real cream? Again, look at that. Gulf states, Eastern Seaboard, Mid-South. Look at, what do you call it, New England. And look at all the states that have Native Americans. Because they fry everything in oils. All dementias, including Alzheimer's disease, are physician-caused diseases. They're physician-caused diseases. Lipitor. Okay? All these things they've made to cut cholesterol out of your diet. Vascular dementia. I'm going to take a healthy brain and heart pack, the ultimate daily classic tablets, so you can support healthy blood flow through blocked arteries and support healthy blood pressure. Alzheimer's disease, you want to be eating 12, 15, 20 eggs a day, soft yolks, healthy brain and heart pack, none of the bad stuff, no fried foods, processed meats. If you have it, it goes away. If you don't have it, you won't get it. Korsakoff syndrome is a deficiency of a single vitamin. It's the same vitamin deficiency that causes congestive heart failure. Okay? It's one of the manifestations of that disease of sailors. Very, very. Wernicke causes disease is that one vitamin deficiency with MS added to it. So you have to add some antioxidants like the cell shield RTQ, and the Z radical, and the Nature's Pearl liquid muscadine grapeseed extract. Okay, and vitamin B12 deficiency, of course, you need the de-stress capsules, and you also need the Ultimate Niacin Plus. There are 8 different dementias, all of which are due to nutritional deficiencies and inflammation caused by doctors, misadventures, and bad advice. Gluten intolerance causes these diseases on the left. Celiac disease, appendicitis, diverticulitis, cerebral bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, colitis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, leaky gut syndrome. When you look at these under the microscope, they all look exactly the same. They're given different names because of different locations in the intestinal tract. Normal, healthy, small intestine villi in the small intestines of a white rat. There's 500 white rats in this study on the little alfalfa pellets, okay, from raw safrina with all the vitamins and minerals. 6 months later, the whole 6 months was on a high gluten diet. 50% of the rats died out of the 500, 50% died. 50% of the villi are gone. Look at all the scar tissue. And then another 6 months, now they're a year on a high gluten diet. 85% of the rats have died. All the villi are gone. How do you get vitamins and minerals to be absorbed through that? This is why everybody in your family, if you don't want to be burying your kids, you better be getting them off of their breakfast oatmeal. Get them off their English muffins. Get them off their hamburger buns. Get them off their spaghetti. No more spaghetti factory. What do they hold meatballs together with, meatloaf together with? Flour. What do they thicken gravy with? Flour. These people were killed by their dietitians because they were told to be vegans. Eat more whole grains. Bam! You're dead. Identical twin in South Korea, 6 years old. From the time of birth, they had asthma and this eczema on their face. 2 weeks on a gluten-free diet and the 90 cents of nutrients cured, gone. Psoriasis. This woman had this psoriasis, in some places, it's a half-inch thick. It was worse on her front side than it was on her back side. Wouldn't let us take pictures of the front side. 90 days on a gluten-free diet and the 90 cents of nutrients broke her body weight, it all went away. Do you think her husband loves me? And so, you guys got some work to do. Okay? The red counties marked here as counties, these are the shortest lived women in America. Again, it's the Gulf States, the Eastern Seaboard, the Mid-South, and some of the Indian reservations. These are the shortest lived men in the United States. Again, the Gulf States, the Mid-South, the Eastern Seaboard, again, the Indian reservations. Because those nutrients are missing and they fry everything. But they fry everything with MCT oil, and they fry everything with coconut oil, they fry everything with olive oil, and they're dead. Being a vegan didn't help Steve Jobs. Being a vegan didn't help Paul Allen. Being a vegan didn't help Luke Perry, TV star, movie star. He was one of these, you know, physical guys. Joe Biden. Vice President Joe Biden's son. That's 46 because he was a vegetarian. Ate nothing but grains and vegetables. I wonder how many people died because King of Dubai's son, Sheikh Rashid, died at age 33 running a marathon from cardiomyopathy heart attack. I bet there's a bunch of cooks that got killed and eaten in Dubai. Past President Jimmy Carter's grandson, Jeremy, died at 28 from one of those cardiomyopathy heart attacks running a marathon. I guarantee they were sending him all the best grain from all the Midwestern states. The president gave it to him. The force was not enough. Princess Leia died at age 60 from a coronary thrombosis, blood clot in the coronary artery. Her mother, Debbie Reynolds, died a day later from a thrombotic stroke. They both had the same doctor, both lived next door to each other. Neither of them supplemented and ate the same way. He listened to me, he lived to be 95. I want you to look at this very carefully. This came out in May of 2016. Dr. Aubrey de Grey is considered the world's expert on human longevity. And we'll be done here in about 15, 20 minutes. We'll open up for questions. Dr. Aubrey de Grey is the world's expert in human longevity. And he said there's only 7 reasons why we age, and they can all be dealt with, targeted, and eliminated. Based on animal studies, he said there'll be people who are alive today who will still be alive 1,000 years from now. He's the head professor of human physiology at Cambridge University in England. These babies on the cover of National Geographic and Time magazine, their potential ages is correct. They're from third world cultures. But they live in places that have these nutrients in them, and they're poor cultures, and so they don't have electricity. They don't have any oils to cook in. They cook in water and butter. They don't have any electricity. Their fuel is wood. Have you heard of James Hilton? Anybody ever heard of James Hilton? Raise your hand. Well, James Hilton was an investigative reporter for the New York Times back in the 1930s. And he'd heard about this Dr. Lee Ching-yun back in the 20s and 30s. And, you know, this guy's supposed to be 256 years of age, and everybody's like, yeah, right. So he goes there and he follows this guy, and he gets fingerprints. He goes back and he checks places that he's lived 50 and 100 and 150 years earlier and so forth, and had paintings of him and all kinds of stuff. And so he writes this book called Lost Horizon. They made a movie out of it, Lost Horizon. Anybody ever hear of Lost Horizon? You all need to read the book because it's a documentation of what this guy ate, where he came from, what he did. This came out from Canada in 2017, 2 years ago, June of 2017. This is very similar to this Aubrey de Grey's stuff from England. Human life can be endless. If you do everything right, you don't have to die at 100 or 150 or 200 or 300. Keep going, be 1,000. The Canadians repeated the English study, got the same results. For life, almost to the end here. 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 acids, 3 fatty acids. Our body requires these things to get your cells to live to their maximum and give your body what it needs to make new ones. Pat Boone, I rebuilt his back, his knees, and his wrists. He sends me emails every month. Doc, I just beat 2 25-year-olds at tennis today. Thank you. Willie's on the road again. He had arthritis in both his hands. I rebuilt him. Drew Pearson, Hail Mary pass receiver from the Dallas Cowboys, rebuilt him. He's one of our big distributors in the Pacific. He loves going to the Orient. Okay, he's a great, great guy. Okay, so why? Now the last few slides. Thousands and thousands and thousands of years before the coming of Jesus, the universal fuel for human beings was wood. Whether you needed heat, light, cooking, tools, weapons, if you needed fire, wood was your fuel. 1,000 years before the coming of Jesus, everybody knew that if you put your wood ashes in your garden, you got a better yield. You got more peas, you got more tomatoes, you got more carrots, you got more potatoes, and so on. Okay? That all remained the same until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street in New York City, in the bluff overlooking the construction of Brooklyn. This fellow here, Thomas Edison, pulled the switch on the first commercial electric generating plant. Within 10 years, every industrialized nation had switched from wood as the universal fuel to electricity. There's 2 questions you have to ask yourself. Number 1, how many wood ashes are left over every morning in your home when you use electricity? Well, none. Second question, where were you going to get your nutritional minerals from when you went to electricity? Well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, because people got their nutritional minerals from wood ashes. Wood ashes are not carbon. They're 98% minerals that the trees suck up out of the ground. Like all other plants, trees only need 3 elements from the soil. If there's 25 in there, or 40 or 60, they'll suck them up. You burn the wood, you put the wood ashes in your garden, your carrots, your peas, your beans, your tomatoes, your potatoes, your okra, and your apples, suck them up, and you eat them, and you got your minerals that way. Well, now comes electricity. No more wood ashes, no more minerals. And farmers who used to be the most healthy people on earth are now the sickest people on earth. Because it took them 20 years after the city people got electricity. Electricity didn't get out to the farmers for 20 years. So as long as they were putting the wood ash in their gardens, they were healthier and living longer. Once they got electricity, they were worse off than us. Before people came along, where did the ocean get its minerals? Where did the land, where did the trees get their minerals? Not from wood ashes, but from volcanic ash. But sometimes it went 10,000 years, 25,000 years before there was a volcanic eruption in an area. That part of the ocean would die, and the reefs became limestone. There were 5 extinctions because of the irregularity of the volcanic eruptions. There's over 1 million hydroelectric plants damming up the rivers of the world for electricity. How many of you ever heard of Dr. Weston Price? Okay, yeah, a very famous guy. He loved to take, he's a dentist, he loved to take his vacations during the wintertime in the South Pacific, and he would take pictures of the dental arches of the kids there and write papers, scientific papers, when he'd get back home, and he'd write all this as research off his taxes, so he got free vacations that way, okay? Well, during the Second World War, they wouldn't let him go back because they're having naval wars there, but after the Second World War, he got to go back. There's a problem, because before the Second World War, look at the dental arches of those kids on the left there. I mean, it looks like they're made in the factories. But after the Second World War, look at the dental arches of those kids after the Second World War. What's going on? They ask him, he says, well, it's very simple. Before the Second World War, everybody ate raw food, and after the Second World War, everybody ate cooked food. Bang, 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 wrong. Crap hole of theory. Everybody believed him because he was Weston Price. Oh, the vegetarians loved him. But here's the problem. After the Second World War was over, all the military people left, all the government people left, and what did they leave behind? Electric generators. Now, where did these people get their minerals before the Second World War? Every morning, the kelp from the ocean would roll up on the beaches, they would burn it, they'd give some of the ashes to their animals, and the other ashes they would put in their gardens. But after the Second World War, they had now electricity. It was sort of, I mean, only peasants put wood ashes or kelp ashes in their gardens. We have electricity. So they didn't have any more minerals. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the Great Barrier Reef, and then we'll end this with 2 or 3 more slides. How many of you know the Great Barrier Reef is in trouble? Okay, some people saying it can no longer be saved. But we're going to save it. I'm going to get a grant next month. It's going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars, but we're going to save the Great Barrier Reef, and here's why. I figured out why the Great Barrier Reef is dying. I know exactly why. As a result, I'm going to be the featured speaker at the Tesla convention in Albuquerque, New Mexico next month. On the cover of their magazine, their monthly magazine, next month, they have the featured article. It takes up almost a third of the magazine next month. But I convinced them that I know how to prevent and revive, how to prevent the Great Barrier Reef from finally ending. Even if it did, we could reawaken. I know how to do it. How many of you have heard there's too much carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is going up. Raise your hand. How many of you? If you don't raise your hand, you're a liar, because it's in the newspaper and TV and everywhere all the time. Okay, everybody knows it. That's true. But all the environmentalists blamed it on combustion engines and too many cars. You need a 1-cylinder car. You can't have an 8-cylinder car. You have to walk everywhere and use bicycles and get scooters so you can run over little old people on the sidewalks. And so, what's going on here? Well, it turns out the reason why the carbon dioxide is going up is not because of too much production, but because of lack of consumption. The reason why the Great Barrier Reef and all the other reefs are dying is because we have shut off the food supply to the food of the food of the food of the reef polyps that grow the reefs. Now, what is the food supply of the food of the food of the food to the reef polyps? The minerals. Algae requires 20 minerals to take carbon dioxide out of the air and convert it into fiber, vitamins, and amino acids, and all that kind of stuff. Our 20 minerals. We dammed up all the rivers for electricity. No more silt going out into the ocean. Now, here's why the Great Barrier Reef is in such great trouble. Queen Victoria Province, which is in the northeastern corner of Australia, that's where the Great Barrier Reef hugs. Australia is at the northeastern coast. They dammed up all the rivers to make electricity so they can have factories to make shoes and socks and shirts and sweatshirts for Americans. And so suddenly now, all the food for the bacteria that was being eaten by the algae, which was being eaten by the phytoplankton, which was being eaten by the polyps, was shut off. And then the reef was struggling. Well, 10 years later, that was 30 years ago. 10 years later, Papua New Guinea on the north and the east side of the Great Barrier Reef dams up all the rivers for electricity. They can have factories and make socks and shoes and sweatshirts for Americans in Europe. Cut off the final source of nutrients for the food of the Great Barrier Reef. And that's why the Great Barrier Reef is dying, because we cut off the total food supply to the polyps that make the reef. And I showed them. I had looked at 1,000 research projects. It took me 10 years to do that. Finally figured it out. And I showed it to them. And guess what? It wasn't me who did it. It was one of our distributors who did it. One of our distributors did it. They bought a booth at this thing for the Tesla group in one of their annual meetings, handed out some of my articles and sold some of my books, and then took out their members of the board of directors to dinner and gave them some of my papers in that book, Rare Earths Hidden Cures. And she called me and says, guess what, Doctor, you're being the featured speaker. And the Tesla people called me. And so if we all work together, good things happen. I couldn't have done it by myself. Couldn't have. So this one distributor did it. It might have been another 100 years before somebody else figured it out. Maybe in 1,000 years. They may have never figured it out. For those of you who've never been up to it, we do have total access to the source. There's 100 cubic miles of this stuff. If you look at that white cap there, that's limestone. How many of you heard of limestone? Limestones are dead reefs. Limestone is made from dead reefs. There's been 5 extinctions in the world. I put all this together in the paper that's going to be in the Tesla magazine coming up here. Showed all what's going on here. But it shows clearly that all these plants with all these minerals came from underneath the ocean. This was a reef. 100 cubic miles of the stuff. That was 10,000 years of life. Everybody on Earth uses this every day, appropriate for their body weight. We get 260 pounds of grapes per grapevine. Without our minerals, you're going to get 40 pounds of grapes. We grow 15-pound sweet potatoes. We grow 8-pound peas. We grow 2- and 3-pound lemons with our fertilizer. It has 78 minerals in it. And we increase the yield of beans and grain by 250% just by putting, it's the same field you can see on this girl's left shoulder in the left-hand picture as her left shoulder, your right side, but her left shoulder. You can see the density where we put our minerals and the density of a standard commercial fertilizer. Look at the difference in the height of that corn and the difference in the density. So, are you just going to pray only? Or are you going to take action? Are you going to cross your fingers and hope everything works out? This is my hair analysis, okay, from, I don't know, a year ago. And everything's in that white zone in the middle, especially, thank goodness, the nutrient. If you're deficient in it, it causes you to be a mass murderer. Mine is in the perfect amount. So you don't have to worry about it. I'm safe. I would tell you that all of those are down to the bottom. All those bars which represent a different nutritional mineral. they're all at the bottom, that would mean you're not absorbing. Just to do this, just to see if you're absorbing is worth the effort to get that hair analysis. Athletes should get them every year. I get mine every year. Okay, last slide. 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 acids, 3 fatty acids. Every vertebrate requires these. Every vertebrate requires these to make good babies, to live your maximum lifespan, keep your cells rebuilding and maintaining the maximum lifespan. We have programs for 900 different diseases. I'll repeat that. We have programs for 900 different diseases, which have been proven to either prevent and or reverse these diseases. 900. Okay? So, you don't have to think of what to do because it's already been put together. That's what the tools are for. The tools will tell you which tool to use for what disease. Oh, I need some vitamin C. Well, that's wonderful. What about the other 89? Fool. Oh, I eat well. I'm a vegetarian. Oh, have some more gluten. Idiot. We have some work to do because it's so simple. Even pets, even dogs, you know, how many of you ever heard of a dog with a hot spot? They just lick it and lick it and lick it. You take them to the veterinarian and they give them that cortisone shot and they stop licking it in like 5 minutes. But 30 days later, here they go again. You got to go in for that $50 shot again every month. That's gluten. If you're feeding them dry dog food with oats in it, or wheat, barley, or rye, that's why they have the hot spot. Get them off of gluten. They can have rice, they can have sweet potatoes in their food, but they can't have wheat, barley, rye, or oats. This is medical. Okay, so I don't know how you want to do this. So I just, anybody want to pick them? Huh? Okay. Isn't this a microphone? You're taking the questioner. Idiot! Idiot! Idiot!
Joel, it's up there, the handheld.
We're looking at the microphone. I'll give you another
Oh,
piece.
somebody brought it back. Joel, somebody brought it back.
So the girls are ready to break. Came all the way down here. Step back. Pay attention. Hold on.
Just close enough. Okay, what's the question, ladies?
Okay, my name is Victoria. When I was 3 months old, I had a heart transplant because.
Okay, you had a heart transplant when you were 3 months old.
Yes.
Why did you have a heart transplant? You had a heart defect, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you remember what the name of it was?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so a heart transplant could cost a couple $100,000. Okay, and that's because mama didn't get the proper nutrition during pregnancy when the heart was forming. Okay, and what's the question? We got to go.
Okay, it's called, I have left heart syndrome.
Say again?
Left heart syndrome.
Oh, okay.
And then, so now I'm 18 and I'm waiting for another heart transplant. Because.
Okay, you're ready for another heart transplant.
Yes.